Good evening, Madam President Valerie and Business Manager Pam, members of the Board of Directors of the community at Cape Cod Community Chamber of Commerce, guests, family, and Team Lorenzo. Big hand for Team Lorenzo. It's truly an honor to be here this evening to accept the Legacy Business Award. A little birdie told me that I only had 5 minutes, but it will be no easy feat to share 3/4 of a century in 5 minutes, but I'm going to try. The restaurant industry, we all know that it has many good recipes to require the best ingredients. And I think the same is to be said about a legacy. For a business to withstand the test of time of over 75 years, you need to have the best ingredients, like generations of family, cultural history, leadership, growth, overcoming obstacles, community, hard work, long days and nights, and passion. I'm honored to share the recipe of our legacy with you tonight. This journey began nearly 80 years ago with my dad, Lorenzo Grosso. Came to this country to follow the American dream. He was born and raised in Bosio, Italy, in a small village in the foothills of the Alps where farming and vineyards were all he knew. He left home at the age of 17 and joined the Italian Navy, and then afterwards onto the merchant ship where he served as a chief cook. When in 1946 his ship arrived in New York City, Lorenzo knew that this was his chance to follow his dream. Lorenzo was the epitome of the American dream, with not much more than a couple coins in his pocket and the clothes on his back. He managed to find work in some very prestigious restaurants in New York City where he began his career in cooking. It also was during that time that he met his wife, Geraldine. Had it not been for her beauty and his persistence, Lorenzo would have probably been sent back to Italy. But in 1948, 100 days after meeting, Lorenzo and Jerry were married. In 1950, they traveled to Taunton to visit relatives from Italy. Taunton was a far cry from New York City, with no city lights, no public transportation, no Italian shops, and no one spoke Italian. So with only a 4th grade education, Lorenzo and Jerry opened their first restaurant, Lorenzo's Italian Restaurant, on High Street in Taunton. It was a small restaurant of 20 seats, but it was the beginning of what was to become a business that spanned 75 years. They put in long days and nights and developed recipes that still are on our menu today. With talk of urban renewal coming to Taunton, he knew that it wouldn't be long before he was forced to relocate. In 1957, they purchased the property on West Grove Street, where a small clam shack existed, but lots of land and plenty of room for dreams. Once again, he saw the opportunity to expand, and from what was a clam shack, it turned into a drive-in. Yes, many of you might not know what a drive-in was. That was a time for car hops, roller skates, fast food, and eating as a family with friends or even a date in your car. That's right, you ate pizza, hamburgers, hot dogs, spaghetti, meatball sandwiches, and even at Lorenzo's, you ate lasagna in your car. All in the comfort of your car, I should say. Back in the 60s, people came from miles around to enjoy all the homemade Italian dishes. As Lorenzo's was starting to become a household name for great homemade Italian food, expansion was again in the horizon. So in 1968, it was time to take the next step for Lorenzo's. A new state-of-the-art building was erected, and new automated equipment was to accommodate the growth of Lorenzo's Italian drive-in. Lorenzo's brought the community together in many ways. During the 60s and 70s, thousands of teenagers worked as car hops and as cooks. Countless marriages and hundreds of families. I'm sure if you look around, there's family members who were past employees at some point in time. With all the business growth, Lorenzo and Geraldine still managed to have a family and raise 3 children. Both my brothers and I had a part in shaping the business during our younger days. It was our summer camp, school vacations, and also the opportunity to learn firsthand about a business that our parents were so passionate about. At 8 years old, my first job was being a car hop. My uniform looked exactly one of 12 others, only a little smaller. But trends were changing and families wanted to enjoy the comfort of table service. And the need to expand was once again planning. In 1972, he began to transition from a drive-in to a restaurant by closing the outdoor patios and making a dining room so patrons could now enjoy a glass of wine or a bottle of beer with their favorite dishes. Still feeling growing pains and to be able to keep up with the demands of a commissary was built behind the existing building to accommodate the production of fresh pasta, homemade sauces, soups, meatballs, sausages, and pizza. Once again, state-of-the-art machines were sent from Italy to make the freshest spaghetti and raviolis. With the expansion of the commissary, we began to sell frozen pizzas, wholesale to schools, grocery store, institutions. Imagine being an elementary school kid and eating Lorenzo's homemade pizza for lunch. It was definitely by school lunch that day. In 1976, I graduated from college with a business degree in finance. I was ready to conquer the world, but my passions for the restaurant business had already been taking shape. I learned about purchasing vendors, how to negotiate a deal, and soon I became more involved in the day-to-day operations. In 1981, major renovations with the addition of a function room and bar. This change meant that we could have a full liquor license and serve up to 100 people. During these years, we expanded our menu to include sauté dishes, more seafood choices, prime rib, and hand-cut steaks, allowing us to attract a more diverse clientele. Around the time Lorenzo and Jerry started to relinquish some of their day-to-day duties of the restaurant, and after years of training, I became general manager. These times were a bit challenging for me. As a young mother of 2 children, I found that the balance of life and running a business was a struggle. This meant that Carmela and Peter would experience the same summer camps and the school vacation as I did at Camp Lorenzo's. I am grateful that they had the opportunity to learn about the restaurant business and appreciate all their grandparents' hard work and determination. In the early 90s, I began to develop the catering aspect of the business. As so many popular dishes had become favorites amongst our customers, I knew the demand was evident. For me, it became a passion, and the development of a catering menu and a new company van, I found myself catering to offices, banks, factories, warehouses, and private homes across southeastern Massachusetts. Looking back, I realized that 90% of my life has been spent in and around Lorenzo's. Can that really be possible? Yeah, it is. It's no surprise that no matter what happens, that passion never dies. I have no regrets having spent my entire life with my dad and mom, in business together with my brothers and my children, and thousands of employees that have helped me make my dreams come true. Before I close this evening, I would like to recognize my daughter Carmela Dion with her handsome grandson, with my handsome grandson, Gavin, perhaps the 4th generation of Lorenzo's, carrying on this legacy. Absent this evening is my son-in-law, Nick, and my other grandson, Connor, who were not able to attend. And with me tonight is my partner in life, Joseph Beninato. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce my son, general manager, third generation of Lorenzo's, Peter.
Good evening, local dignitaries, Valerie, Pam, the board of directors, and members of the Cranberry Chamber faithful. This is such a special organization in so many ways, and thank you for all being here tonight. You have all gotten a brief glimpse of what life was like for my grandfather Lorenzo when he first came to this country and began his American dream. For those of you in the room that have ever met him, he was a larger-than-life character and carried such a great presence. And he sort of talked like this. From a young age, I witnessed the hard work and dedication and how passionate he was of being part of this and serving this community. I often think about his early years building a new life in an entirely new country. No formal education, not being able to speak the language, no family, no resources, just his will to overcome. I have to believe somewhere, somehow, he received help along the way. Was it the first chef that hired him in New York City? Was it the person who helped him translate his menu into English? Or was it the bank officer that took a chance on it, an immigrant from Italy, and granted him his first business loan? I'm sure we can all think back to when we were starting our careers, to that one person or persons that gave us our first opportunity. A chance to take that initial scary first step into our careers, that person willing to take a chance on us, to guide us, to mentor us, to support us when the walls felt like they were caving in around us. Perhaps that person is no longer here with us. Maybe you lost contact with them or they changed professions. Or maybe they are sitting in this room tonight. So let me ask you, have you ever been that person for someone else? Have you had the opportunity to make an impact in another person's life? Maybe without even realizing it at the time. That is the beauty of our community and of our Chamber of Commerce. Through the tireless efforts of Pam and Valerie, they have given us the opportunity to make those meaningful connections, to make that impact, to make a difference, to give a chance. Now it's up to us for what we do with that opportunity. The trajectory of my grandfather's life could have taken so many different turns, had it not been for some unknown person willing to give him that chance. My family and I stand here tonight celebrating a legacy that was created by an opportunity fulfilled. Perhaps you could be that unknown person in someone else's life. I'm joined here tonight by my dad, John, and Auntie Teresa, who remind me that there's also a life that exists outside of Lorenzo's, and there's a world that needs exploring. My sister Camilla, who valued books over bussing tables, and managed to escape Lorenzo's camp after high school and began a successful career in journalism. The youngest member of our audience tonight, my 6-year-old nephew Gavin, is also helping us celebrate. But don't worry, buddy, Camp Lorenzo's is coming for you next. Over the years, many people have asked me, "You really work with your family?" I could never work with my mother. And yeah, it's a fair question. And I'm not gonna lie, it's not rainbows and unicorns every day, but then again, what is? My response to that question is a simple one. Our common goal has always been, and will continue to be, whatever is best for the business. We will always, and I mean always, have different paths on how to accomplish these goals. Tables 11 and 12, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But we are always able to find a compromise and move forward. The restaurant you see today is proof of the power of a successful family business. It's hard to imagine us being here tonight without the support of our staff. Joining us here tonight is our entire management team. Doris Mocker, Nathan Levesque, Josh West, Laura Powers, and our executive chef, Jan Erzik. Growing up, I remember my grandfather telling me, if you surround yourself with smart, strong people, you can make good out of any situation. I stand here tonight with the strongest, most dedicated management team this business has seen in my generation, collectively making up almost 100 years of service. It has been a pleasure to work with you and continue this journey that others before us have laid the foundation for. I would also like to mention the important role of your spouses and loved ones. Tricia, Julie, Amy, Les, and Mike, thank you for sharing your loved ones with us. I know it's not easy to give up the holidays, the weekends, and family events, but thank you for allowing them to be part of our team in doing what they do. I spoke earlier about the people in our lives that, whether they realize it or not, have given us the building blocks for success. They gave us a chance. I am one of the fortunate ones because that person for me is in this room tonight. The restaurant industry is one of the toughest. Simply stated, you can't fake this business. As I started my career in the kitchen, I was privileged enough to work with the best, executive chef Jan Erzik. He started with me from the beginning. How to hold a knife, how to dice an onion, how to clean a beef tenderloin. Day in and day out, he worked tirelessly with infectious passion and a dedication to his craft. For those of you familiar with Jan's work, you've seen his vegetable carvings, his watermelon centerpieces, his butternut squash vases, and his carrot flowers. Whenever I'm asked, how does he do such a thing? And my response is usually, well, it's an equal amount of talent, dedication, patience, and just a little bit of leftover acid trips from the 60s. What I didn't realize back then, but I know now, is how Jan was preparing me for the next generation of this business. He couldn't emphasize enough the importance of food quality, consistency, and presentation. All the core principles of a professional kitchen and the reasons why Lorenzo's continues to thrive. I'll never be able to thank him enough for what he has taught me over the last 22 years and how he has brought the business to the next level. Our staff will continue the hard work and practices he began to ensure his own legacy, work ethic, and spirit remain in the kitchen forever. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything. So Jan fans, please stand up and take a bow. You deserve it. Oh yeah, that man also introduced me to the Grateful Dead. Shocker, right? Most importantly, thank you to all of you for your continued support and patronage for the last 75 years. Every day, countless members of the community filter in through our doors to enjoy a meal with friends, family, co-workers, and business associates, to discuss ideas, share stories, and have a few laughs. We are each other's customers, and we are each other's friends. I'm so honored to continue the legacy that was traded by my grandfather, that was so loyally continued by my mother, and that I will continue for the next generation. My name is Peter Maffio. My family owns Lorenzo's Italian Restaurant, and we are so proud to be part of this community. Thank you all so much.